Armchair.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
Why did you get so drunk?
You got drunk. I'm just really exhausted.
What's in that cup?
Armor Cokes.
Do you have any idea how important this is? Try to save the pump. Really, this is what you're doing?
Chief, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Armchair.
YouTube Live.
Radio station.
The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station?
I like everything. It's always on my radio.
We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
You're listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here live weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key. And simulcasting on YouTube.com/@Braves Country. Your first choice for Southern sports. Good afternoon. I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. Throw it again! Throw it again! Huh? All that chirping got you, big boy.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man with a cool one in his head. Yeah, the armchair.
Hey, howdy, hi, and how the hell are you? I'm doing pretty darn good myself. How about those Braves last night? And I did not realize at the time when we were doing the game that the chirping was going on. Shortly after the game, I got caught up on all the notes and whatnot. And for those who didn't see this, hear this, whatever, when the score was at that point 4-1, Atlanta starter Bryce Elder had given up 2 home runs in the inning. And what I really think this comes from was at the at-bat before by Alonso, he'd almost taken it out. In fact, I even mentioned it during the broadcast that it looked like it was on its way out. It died at the warning track. The next at-bat, he threw the same sinker inside, and he took it yard 400 and something feet. I want to say 450, 452. So it was a blast. And he started chirping from the dugout, yelling, "Throw it again, throw it again, throw it again." Talking that smack. And look, I thought Elder handled this perfectly. You'll hear in a second because I got clips from it. But talking about asking Elder, what did you think of that? And he said, well, if I'd have hit one on the concourse, I probably would have been yelling too. But it wasn't like this was something that did not go unnoticed, didn't blow off by the Braves, because when the Braves started making their rally, and you got to realize Pete Alonso's standing right there on first base, right next to the Braves' first base dugout. They started chirping to him, "Throw it again. I hope you throw it again." That kind of stuff. So we got some bad blood. It's going to make for a much more entertaining rivalry. And I'm all here for it. Let's do it. Let's get ugly. Let's get into the muck and the mire, and let's have ourselves a real rivalry. I always felt like the Braves and Mets have been kind of dancing around this rivalry. But let's be honest. They don't like us, and we don't like them, and let's get it. We get game number 1. I thought Bryce Elder did a heck of a job keeping us in the game. And then when you look at the rest of the game and how it went down, Atlanta stayed in striking distance, not only because of Elder not completely falling apart after giving up those 4 runs in what was that, the 6th inning, I believe? Pulling it up right now. But I'm sorry, not the sixth inning. The third inning. The sixth inning was the inning that we came back. So for those of y'all that might have missed the game, we took the lead in the bottom of the second, and that was a solo shot by Ozzie Albies. Then right after that, in the top of the third, the Mets come back and put 2 2-run home runs on the board. One by Alonso and one by Lindor just before that. And then Elder started pitching well. He had, you noticed that the second time through the lineup, they were not being fooled by that slider in the dirt. And he was getting it up a little more, and then that's what they were tattooing. He came back out for the final 3 innings of his outing and pitched really well. Kept him off the board. Look, the Mets only had four hits all last night. 2 of them were home runs. If we keep him in the park, the simple fact of the matter is this isn't a very close game. So we go in, great hitting, great clutch hitting by a couple of guys. I don't want to forget to mention them. But let me go ahead and play the first thing I want to play, and then we'll get to Snicker. This is Peter Moylan talking about that incident with Alonso, the play it again thing. And remember, Moylan's an ex-bullpen guy, and he's referring to the fact you can hear all that because they've got TVs down in the bullpen. They got TVs in the dugouts. They got TVs everywhere. So here is that clip from Moylan.
There's a little bit of extra fuel, just so everybody knows, there's a TV out in the bullpen. So when Alonso's out there firing out a couple of you-know-whats, we see everything, okay? We see everything. So all those boys that are coming in are a little bit more fired up when they come in to see you guys. So just remember that for the next 2 days when you're coming out taking a few ABs, okay?
That's what I'm talking about. I love when them boys are fired up, okay? So that's item number 1. We get to Alonso, and you just gotta love it as a Braves fan. You know it got under his skin. You know Alonso hates the Braves. He has to, because why else would he be chirping? You'd think he would have said, "All right, we got a 4-1 lead. Now it's time to focus and handle Alonso." Instead, he was already throwing himself a parade in the third inning. The third inning against a team that he's routinely choked against. He's watched his entire team routinely choke against. He saw his team choke away a 10.5 game lead in June. It was right around this time last year. You know, all those stories are coming up in the New York media as they head into Atlanta. He's had to have been reminded by it. By the way, can we continue? Can we continue to keep Vogelbach as the guy behind Alonso? And if that's the case, can we stop pitching to Alonso? As big as a jerkwad as he is, and he comes off as kind of a dink, he's really good. He's one of the best power hitters in the game. Why are we giving him anything? You got fatback Vogelbach, who is a double play waiting to happen. Pitch around Alonso. See if he'll chase. I'm not saying do an automatic walk every time. See if he'll chase. That's the one guy in the next 2 games that we should make sure does not beat us. The one guy. I can live with it if Marte does his thing, if Lindor goes out there, because Lindor's been playing some pretty bad baseball. He hit a balloon shot yesterday that got over the wall, but all in all, he has not been playing good baseball. So I can live with any of these other guys beat us. But don't let Pete Alonso beat you, my God. Charlie Morton's on the hill tonight. What I expect from Charlie Morton is when he faces Alonso, bust him inside a few times and whatnot, and then try to get him to chase the curveball outside. Don't give him anything over the heart of the plate. He's not a stolen base threat. Let him take first. When he goes down to first, you get Vogelbach out there, he'll roll over into one, or he does what he did last night. He struck out 3 or 4 times last night? He struck out a bunch. I know he struck out at least 3. So why are you pitching to Alonso with Vogelbach behind him? And that's just the way they want to build the lineup because they want to go righty-lefty. Okay, fair enough. Teach them a lesson they'll never learn. Pitch around them. Put a slow guy on first and even a slower guy on at the plate and see if you can get him to hit into a double play or strike out and kill the rally. I'm a little confused why Marte's not higher in their order, but not going to help them out any. But that was yesterday's game. For folks that missed it, couple of really big hits. Ozuna with the 2 RBIs. He got the double in the big spot. This is Arcia being interviewed right after the game about his big hit. And really, it was a poor defensive play by Escobar. They gave Arcia a hit, but I don't know. You could argue he should have made the play. But regardless, this is Arcia being interviewed. It's actually his interpreter, but here we go.
All right, we're Orlando, a 2-for-3 night, the game-winning RBI in the 6th. What was the approach there with a full count, Ozuna at third?
I was just focused on getting the job done, driving him home, obviously being there at third base, and fortunately it worked out and we were able to get the win, most important thing.
As you watch that inning unfold, you see Olsen get the walk to lead things off, back-to-back doubles, and from there the rally was on. How were you guys able to kind of get that and string together some hits, get that big inning?
I've said it before, and I'm going to keep saying it. There's so much talent on this team, and every player here devotes himself to putting everything out there, giving the maximum effort to make sure that the team wins the games for the fans and for ourselves, and we're going to keep doing that.
To take the first game, especially when you come back like this one tonight.
It's important to win the first game of the series, and we're just going to stay focused going into game 2.
All right, so there you have that. That was Orlando Arcia, but it was through his interpreter. Arcia went up there and had good plate appearances. Everybody, to me, had a very good game. The one person that's still, it's a glaring issue, Michael Harris II's not getting any hits. And it doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. It really is. It's concerning because you don't have a lot of options. You have to have him try to fight through it, right? But you're a little concerned about the whole thing because does he fight through it? How does he fight through it? They've got him in the lineup again tonight, by the way. We'll pull up the lineup and go through all the batting order and the numbers just before first pitch and whatnot. But they've got him in the lineup again. I thought maybe after last night's game that he might take a seat. He's going up against a nasty customer in Scherzer. And you really do wonder at this point what's going to snap him out of it. Because this is no longer a slump. I mean, this is a full-blown terrible season so far. Slump is 2 to 3 weeks. This has gone on all year, even if you don't count the injury. And looking at tonight's game, I mean, here's another reason. If this handwriting isn't on the wall, then what is it? Michael Harris lifetime against Max Scherzer. You ready for this? 111 with no extra base. I mean, 111 batting average. So he's 1 for 9. Got a single. He hasn't struck out, but he's 1 for 9. And the thought process might be, well, we need his glove against Scherzer because we're hoping to win a low-scoring game. I think the Mets are going to put runs on Morton. And I think the Braves are going to have to be able to counter that. And at this point, we're just... I mean, this is literally just a hope situation at this point. It really is. There's no reason why he shouldn't be platooning. Give Hilliard a chance. I'm not saying Hilliard's going to go out there and go 3 for 4, but give him a chance. He plays very good defense. Maybe give Harris a mental break. Give him a chance to go back out there tomorrow. When there's a lefty, I would absolutely have Pilar in there. I mean, this is just bad. Here are the numbers, by the way, versus Scherzer lifetime. Ronald Acuna Jr. is 281, 2 home runs, 4 RBI, 9 Ks. It's a 9 for 32, so pretty good sample size. So you like that. Matt Olson batting 250, he's 3 for 12. He does have a home run and 2 RBI, 6 strikeouts. Scherzer strikes out a lot of people, so I'm not going to get overwhelmed by the strikeout numbers. Riley's batting 211 lifetime. He's 4 for 19 with the home run. Then you've got Murphy. He's small sample size, 1 for 3. Probably didn't see him at all over in Oakland. Rosario is 2 for 14. No RBIs, 6 strikeouts. Ozzie Albies, 4 for 27. 148 average. Oof. What is he doing up that high in the lineup? 1 home run, 3 RBIs. I get it that he hit the home run last night, but listen to this. Marcell Ozuna, pretty big sample size here. 13 of 53. 2 home runs, 5 RBI, a 245 average. And then you got Orlando Arcia, only 8 at bats, but he is 3 for 8. And then Harris down there at the bottom. I mean, that is just bad. 111. Once again, I'm not giving up on Harris. I think Harris long term is going to be a hell of a player. I believe that he's got the talent. I didn't like the fact the other night, I guess it was last night, the ground ball that he hit, that he kind of hung his head and then just kind of slumped and started jogging towards first. And in that instant, the ball was dropped, and had he been, once he realized it, he started hustling. But had he busted it down the line, he would have been safe on that play. So if you're going to bench Ozuna for doing what he did, you need to bench Harris. Because, I mean, come on. Let's treat everybody the same. Let's not say, well, we want to tap dance around the kid. So with all that being said, like I said, I'm not giving up on Harris, but would it be the worst thing in the world for him to take a night off, let Hilliard get some at-bats, and then if a lefty comes in, pull Hilliard, and not to mention the fact if you really need it later in the game, you'd have Harris's speed to pinch run. And if they did the old flippity-flop, you go from Hilliard to Pilar, and then they bring a righty in, then you can always put Harris back in. I'm not saying you're benching him long-term. I'm just saying give him a night off against a really tough opponent. I do think the Braves are going to have to get to Scherzer. I think they will get to Scherzer. I don't think Scherzer's going to go in there and just mow him down. I expect us to get 3 or 4 runs off of Scherzer. He'll probably go 5, 6. In his mind, he wants to go 7, 1 earned, no earned runs. Braves tend to get to him the second time through the order. So I think the Braves will get him out by the 6th inning and hopefully put about 3 runs on. But that doesn't mean that I believe Charlie Morton's going to go in there and just mow him down. Charlie Morton's got some numbers on these guys here. The ones with big sample sizes are the ones that I'll hit up. Vogelbach, by the way, after just mentioning it, noticed Vogelbach is pushed way down in the order. So he's down to the 7th. I hate that. I really wish they would have kept him up there. He sucks, man. I know he's had a couple of home runs against us lifetime, and he'll get into one every once in a while, but he's terrible. He brings nothing. He brings less to the table than what Ozuna was bringing when Ozuna was in his slump. Because at least Ozuna doesn't run like a snail going uphill. What was funny was that the home run that Alonso hit, I didn't mention it at the time, but I saw it. As we were heading to break, they showed a clip of it. They showed him in Vogelbach in the dugout after congratulating Alonso. He was out of breath and sweaty. He hadn't even batted. I mean, This guy, he's a major league player on a supposedly a World Series contender. That dude's going to last as long as the trading deadline. The moment they can bring another bat in, Vogelbach's going to be gone. Now, he is 5 for 15 with a 333 average against Morton lifetime. He has 2 home runs, so you're a little worried about that. I remember one of them distinctly. And they've got Nimmo, McNeil, Lindor, Alonso, and then they're pushing Beatty up into the order. So what they did was they flip-flopped Beatty and Vogelbach. Marte is back in the lineup. Kanya is in the lineup tonight. So they took Escobar out of the lineup, and they put Kanya in, and then their rookie catcher, Francisco Alvarez, and he's good. He's really good. And he's going to be one of those thorns in our side for a long time, because not only is he good, he's got a little bit of bravado. And so it's going to be real easy for us to hate his antics, but he's really good. He was the top prospect in baseball not too long ago. And by the way, he's 1 for 2 against Morton. But here are the numbers against Morton in the starting lineup for the Mets tonight. Nimmo's 4 for 18, so you like that. McNeil's 5 for 18, 278 average. Not great, but not anything. The one concerning thing, McNeil, who doesn't hit home runs, has 2 home runs against Charlie. Lindor, 5 for 37 with a home run. I'm surprised his numbers aren't a little better. Alonso is 6 for 21. The most surprising thing to me is that Alonso has never hit a home run against Morton. Let's hope that continues. And hopefully Morton continues to just pitch around him. Beatty's 1 for 2 lifetime against Morton. And then Marte's 4 for 19. We already talked about Vogelbach. Kanya, who's in the lineup, he's 3 for 14. And then you got Alvarez 1 for 2. So what you have in this lineup here is you've got you got 4 guys in the Mets lineup tonight that have taken Morton deep. And we all know any mistake, Alonso's bound to hit it out as well. Braves conversely have, they have 5 guys in the lineup who have gone yard on Scherzer. And Ozuna and Acuna both have multiple home runs. I think Ozuna's going to get into one tonight. I've got a feeling. And how about that hitting last night in that dramatic 6th inning? All 3 of the really hard hit balls were all right down into left field. And McNeil bobbling that ball, that was done. I didn't realize at the time until I went back and saw the replay of it. I thought he bobbled just once. He bobbled it 2 times. So 3 times it was an attempt for him to get the ball out of the corner. You do wonder if they're putting McNeil in at second because Escobar didn't make that play, because I heard that on a talk show this morning where they were questioning whether or not McNeil would have made that play at second. Well, you can't point to that and say, well, McNeil's a much better defender after what the hell we just saw him bobbling and kicking the ball around in the left field corner. I don't think you can blame Escobar for that play necessarily. He picks it cleanly. He may have gotten Arcia. He's not getting a lot of guys, but Arcia doesn't run well. Arcia is just naturally slow. He may have gotten Arcia. It would have been really, really close. Been right there at the finish line, right? Would have been a photo finish. What was funny to hear this morning was the New York radio call of what, if you remember when they thought that Ozzie Albies was out at second before they reviewed it, and it showed plainly that he wasn't out. It was really funny just to hear those emotions of basically, you got to be kidding me. Because when I was calling live and I saw it live, I thought he was safe. But the second base umpire called him out so quick, I was like, well, sometimes you just want things and you're hoping a guy's safe. But They went back to show that replay, and he definitely, it wasn't by much, but he definitely beat the throw. But the New York radio, I mean, it was like get their head out of their oven kind of stuff. But heading into tonight, you got to realize something, too, what the Braves did last night with that comeback. It wasn't just the fact of all the bravado against Pete Alonso and the whole, throw it again junk. Please throw it again. Please throw it again. All that junk. When they made that comeback, they did it off of Drew Smith. He's looked upon as their go-to guy in those clutch situations, and we got to him. And that could now I would think he would be available again tonight, but what it definitely means is he won't be available all 3 games. So that's a big deal when you go out and you get these runs off of him and Ottavino and even Brigham, who's I thought pitched pretty well. I was pretty impressed by him. They used 3 of their bullets, and they won't be able to use all 3 of them back to back to back nights. Obviously, Robertson is their main guy, their closer, but that's a big deal because we used Minter, Chavez, and Iglesias. And by the way, how about Minter going out there and pitching well again? The bullpen's gone out there. Was it 5 consecutive outings that the bullpen hasn't given up a run? Bullpen's starting to come together. I always felt like everyone panicking about the bullpen is a little too premature. I feel like this is every single year. I mainly say it with the Braves, but I'm sure it's pretty much par for the course around Major League Baseball. I just watch a hell of a lot more Braves games than I do anything else. But when you follow this team, you follow the bullpen, they always seem to struggle in the early months. And then when we get towards the later part of the season, it seems like they finally get the rhythm. And I know a lot of people get annoyed by that and say, what in the heck? But you got to look at it, too. How much work do they really get in the spring? And they don't want to wear them out. So how much work do they really get in the spring? So they're still trying to get their rhythm. It's not like a starting pitcher. Starting pitcher can get his rhythm after like a couple of games and have it really rocking and rolling by the end of April. Because he's out there 5, 6, sometimes 7 innings a start. These guys out there sometimes are only throwing 10 to 15 pitches, and then they don't pitch again for another 3 days. And they're not being asked to do a lot of mound work on their off days because they never know when they're going to need them. So it's just, and remember the other thing too, Iglesias wasn't here the first part of the year. So Minter was being asked to close, and he was being asked to basically fill a role he hasn't filled well in the past. And I'm sure the thoughts of him going back to 2021 and prior to that, when he was being asked to spell the 9th inning from time to time, he struggled in all of those situations. Remember, it hasn't been that long ago that they sent Minter down to the farm, and then when he came back, he was lights out. It seems like it's every year with A.J. Minter. Hit around June, hit around July, and he starts hitting on all cylinders. I'm still not sold that he's all the way back because we have to see a much bigger sample size. But as of right now, he's starting to look more like A.J. Minter. And he used the cutter more, a lot more last night. And the cutter, he threw probably the best cutter I've seen him throw all season long last night. And we're probably going to need him at least one more time in this series. Braves versus Mets game number 2. I did want to play Snicker. Snicker was being asked about Ozuna and all the drama of having to bench him. He was asked about the bullpen, and he was asked about Bryce Elder and how he rebounded. This is a pretty good clip from Brian Snicker.
No, it's been really good. I mean, like I say, he's never give up on himself, and he's worked really hard, and it's good to, you know it's in there. You've seen it. I mean, like I say, at 20, he had an MVP season. Yeah, just good to see the hard work pays off.
About Elder tonight, he gives us two run homers on 2 straight pitches, but then retires 10 guys in a row.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, it's he just kept pitching. It was nice that he didn't, like you say, rebounded and covered the game for us.
feel to keep backing up these offensive performances?
Well, it's always good. Yeah, that's kind of what when you're struggling, this is what you look for.
Bullpen was kind of getting some heat a while back, not from you, but from others, and now they've pitched 5 straight games scoreless.
Now it's really been really good. I mean, a lot of guys, again, that group there has kind of stayed with themselves too, and stayed confident and consistent in what they're doing. And and I'm gonna tell you what too, that the 6 inning starts have a big thing to do with that also.
Kind of along those lines, I mean, for Elder, that seemed to be as impressive as anything. It's just after that 3rd inning, it was right back into a groove.
Right back into it, yeah. No, he just kept pitching, throwing strikes. That's huge, when that stuff like that happens and you don't let it get away from you, because then all of a sudden it can get ugly. But he kept us, in the game. We had a lot of at-bats left and, had the one big inning. And so that was great what he did as far as getting back on track and holding the game in check.
A lot of good things happened in that 6th inning, but for Orlando in that spot in the full count,
That's some good at-bats, really good at-bats, and he has all year, really, big hits and just tough at-bats, and yeah.
When we talked to Marcel the other day, he said it's a mistake, it'll never happen again. You just expect him to, he's that kind of pro that he's just going to come back and produce the next.
Yeah, he's going to, I told him, we're going to play Tuesday. I mean, I hate that happened. And, but, it's happened. He did, he handled it exactly the way you're supposed to. Came out today and got a really, really big hit for us.
All right. So yeah, that was Snitker. That was after the game last night. You can't even put a definition on what Elder did there, because when you look at what Elder did last night, it would have been really easy for him to hang his head, right? I mean, we're going up. He knows the weight of this series. You would have to be absolutely just dropped in from the planet Pluto to not know how big Braves Mets, how big that series is right now. Not just in the National League East, but honestly, it's one of the bigger rivalries going on in Major League Baseball. The only thing that's not made it an enormous rivalry is that it's been pretty one-sided. Not necessarily during the regular season, but the fact that the Braves have won so many division titles in a row now. But if the Mets go out and win the division, we'll say like this year or next year, then it's really going to amp it up. And I don't think it's going anywhere either, because I don't think the Mets are going to go anywhere. They've got more money than they have more money than God at this point. I mean, it's ridiculous the money that Cohen has. Really need him to get nailed with an SEC violation or something and lock down his funds. But between that and the fact that the baby Braves, assuming they all continue to play great baseball throughout these contracts that are locked up through, we are concerned about Harris at this point, right? But I still think that's much to do about nothing. The Braves are going to be really good for the next several years. I would be shocked if through the entire rest of this decade, so we'll call it all the way into 2029, 2030, that the Atlanta Braves are not the cream of the crop in the National League, the National League East, along with they're going to be fighting it out with the Phillies and the Mets, who have a lot of money because they sit up in those big markets, the big population markets. Now, some of the stuff that's been going on with the new media deals that could be coming around Major League Baseball, that could change a lot of things. But as it stands right now, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal that you're going to have the Mets, the Braves, the Phillies going at it, and the Nationals are a far, far cry from where they were in 2019. They've got some good young players, but they're so far away right now. They're at least 3-4 seasons away before you have to really concern about them. And the Marlins are going to be pesky. But we know the Marlins are never going to be able to, in the current climate of the media deals, they're never going to be able to compete long term Because they're always going to have to trade. They're always going to have to trade. They're going to have to be savvy with their trades. And if they're savvy like the trade they made this year with getting Arias, who's now hitting 400, that's great and all. But how often can you rely on that someone like Minnesota is just going to want to give up one of their better hitters because you have what they need? So Miami has no long-term stability. No matter what any Marlin fan tries to tell you, they don't have a fan base. They do not have a fan base worth anything right now. And you'll hear reports that, the fans are really starting to come out and they're really starting to support the team, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's nonsense. You know how many people came to their game last night in Miami? And then, by the way, they're on a 5-game winning streak. So don't tell me it's because they have to put people in the seats. 7,000 people. That was an Oakland A's type of game. 20% capacity. Miami's not going to set the world on fire and all of a sudden get the fans out there. And you can't keep telling me they have to be playing. You can't play the New York Yankees every single night to bring butts to the seats. And what that's really is people going to see not you. On a Sunday afternoon, which is usually one of the biggest crowds that you'll get in Major League Baseball, they drew 12,000. So it's the Mets, it's the Phillies, it's why we always reference them. In a year-by-year scenario, sure, they could make a run. And they may make a run this year, but I'm not worried about them long term. The Nationals, they have so much dead money on the books. They're trying to navigate through that. I don't know if you saw the report or not, but there was a report that came out. I think it was New York Times, might have been someone. Anyways, someone kind of updated everyone on Steven Strasburg. The short of it is it doesn't look like he's ever going to play again. Remember, he signed like that $240 million deal back in 2019, 2020? Whenever it was like right. I think it was actually right after the championship. Well, it doesn't look like he's ever going to play again. So $35 million plus a year to a guy who won't play this entire decade. And then Patrick Corbin, he's playing, but there's a lot of nights where National fans wish that he wasn't. So if you add them together, you add those two salaries together, they're on the hook for $400 million, and they're getting one pitcher out of that deal who has an ERA north of 7. But tonight, Braves, Mets, we have got to get it locked in. We need to get this win because tomorrow going up against Verlander, I think he's a much better pitcher. Not that Scherzer's any kind of chopped meat or anything like that, but Verlander just won the Cy Young. So I really want to get this win so we win the series. The good thing is we didn't spit the bit. We're not going to go out there and get swept in our own stadium. The worst case scenario that's going to happen is that the Mets will leave Atlanta 4.5 up. But if we at least split the next two nights with New York, we'll be 6.5 up when they get their butts on the plane and take off. Getting the win tonight, to me, would be enormous. And look, it could be a gut punch. You might see the Mets actually quit. And if they get swept in Atlanta, and they got to go to Pittsburgh next, who knows what's going to happen there? They just got swept by Toronto. Buck Showalter might be fired. There's been a lot of rumbling about that. All right. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to hit up some of the stuff, including one of the biggest names in soccer is coming to the United States to play in the MLS. What?
Having somebody making wild decisions that make no sense, that benefits nobody.
Oh, yes. Right, yes. Is he listening to us? I can't tell.
He's listening. He's not understanding.
Yeah, he doesn't even, get us, man. We're talking about you.
Big news and the big games covered in the Big Ten by the Armchair Quarterbacks all year long.
Third down and about 22. As Smith drops the throw, he's got his tight end open, but he's got Carter downfield, and he's gone. Michigan leads the game with a first touchdown on a bullet, a bomb to Carter, 71 yards. Now State's lead 7-3. There he goes. So long. Ohio State touchdown. That's that old 1-2 punch you take to him the first time and let him have it the second time.
In his career, Lorenzo White 15 times rushed for 100 yards in a half. 5 of those this season. On 2nd and 10.
Long throw to Ryson, and he's open all the way to the 6-yard line.
Big Ten football covered in the Southeast by the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Hockey season, and that means new merch over at ourdragonsmerch.com. Get the latest designs and some of our fun new souvenirs ahead of what's sure to be a great hockey season. Celebrate another season of River Dragons hockey by getting a new look to wear on game days, or surprise the big-time sports fan in your life with a new keepsake that will make them a River Dragons fan for life. Order online right now at ourdragonsmerch.com. That's the letter R, dragonsmerch.com. We'll see you at the rink.
Hey, sports fans. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive Time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE 99.1 FM. Welcome back to Braves Country. Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 to 5 p.m. Drive Time on WQEE.
What now between me and you? Oh, that what now? I tell you what now between me and you. There is no me and you. Not no more.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man with a cool one in his head. Yeah, the armchair quarterback. He's kind of fun. He's kind of fun.
Welcome back. You know, I came across something pretty interesting, and that is I was always being sold the bill of goods that Steve Cohen, owner of the New York Mets, grew up this huge New York Mets fan. That's what they said when he first bought it. Oh, it's a lifetime dream as a kid, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I got it from a pretty good source. It says that's not true. That's a lie. Steve Cohen grew up a Yankees fan. He didn't hate the Mets, but he wasn't a Mets fan. So winning the championship may not mean as much to him as everyone. I always thought this was like, you know, one of us becoming a multi-billionaire. What's the first thing we're going to do? I'll tell you what I do. I go buy the damn Atlanta Braves and let's go spend. But evidently this was not a thing for him. And so I'm sure he's still competitive because he is a very competitive guy in the world of business. But it's very interesting to me that he is not a Mets fan growing up. I'm sure many of us have all heard that. Mets fan, growing up, Long Island, et cetera, et cetera. Now, evidently, he was a Yankees fan growing up. And there's a big difference between wanting to win and wanting a successful franchise, especially when you talk about dollars and cents. And even though he's got most of the money in it, he does have partners that he has to listen to and answer to. And they're not all just going to line up and go broke and watch year after year after year while the Mets puddle around making bad. I mean, I still can't get over the fact that they hired Epler, brought him from the Angels, who have never done anything in his entire tenure there, to come over to fix the Mets. What sense does that make? This guy had a brain a baseball brain. He's obviously a very bright guy. This guy had a baseball brain. Wouldn't you just hire someone out of one of the more successful franchises and say, look, I've got all the money. Let's do it the way they did it with my checkbook. Where are you going? Recent memory. Where are you going? I'm going to go poach the Braves. Mainly because they're in my division. So I'm going to hurt them by helping me. If I can't find what I'm looking for there, I'm going to go after the Tampa Bay Rays, who always do it better than anybody else with far less means. I'm going to come towards the Los Angeles Dodgers organization, see if I can't find someone there. I'm not going to the Angels. The Angels are the Mets of the West Coast. Always a lot of talk and a lot of hype because they're in a large market, but very little success on the field. Wouldn't you go try to... Well, it was kind of a sticky situation at that point, so I probably wouldn't have went to the Astros just because they'd been through all the turmoil and whatnot. But I am not going to the Angels. It's a weird thing. Big news in the world of sports in general. I know this isn't baseball related. It's not even really, it's not enormous news in the grand scheme of things. But Lionel Messi is heading to the Miami MLS club. And Messi, who's obviously one of the more famous soccer players in all the world, he is departing from Paris Saint-Germain and heading to Miami, Inter Miami of the MLS. Trying to see if there's any numbers here. I don't see any numbers. It's just saying, just a report that's been broken. Now, Messi is 35, so he's not a spring chicken. But he's by far the biggest signing in the history of the MLS. Even when you go back to the Beckham signing. First of all, Beckham was at the very end of his career. And Messi's a much bigger star than... The only reason why Beckham was such a big star was because he was in England. But as far as on the worldwide stage, Lionel Messi at one point was considered the best in the world. Now he's 35. That's probably not as valid an argument as it used to be, but that's a big deal. I still don't see the numbers. I almost wonder if they're going to give him a chunk of the team. Because what in the world could they afford? So, you know the conversation I just had this last segment about how the Miami baseball team, the Marlins, are going to have a hard time putting butts in seats? It just got a lot more difficult because Lionel Messi's coming to Miami. The Heat are playing well. The Panthers are playing well. I know the Panthers are about to get smoked in the NHL Finals, but still, they're playing well. The Marlins are going to be on the back burner. The Miami Hurricanes are in huge trouble because who in the hell is going to go to a Hurricane football game, watch them get beat by 30 when they could go see Lionel Messi, they could go see a really good Miami Heat team, and evidently a really good hockey team in the Florida Panthers. That's going to be an issue. Good for us. Sign all the stars down there. Because the one thing the Marlins have shown is that they can't sign a big MLB free agent. If they do, like they did with Giancarlo Stanton, they trade him within hours. I mean, what did he play? 1 year, I think? I think he played one season under that big contract in Miami. Tonight on WQEE 99.1 FM, you've got the Chattahoochee versus the Atlanta Blues, 7:05 first pitch, right here on 99.1 FM. And if you're streaming us on Braves Country HD, Braves Mets will be on at 7:20. So full night of baseball here in Braves Country. Just to reiterate what we were just talking about, Lionel Messi going to the MLS. I'll be interested to see the numbers on this. He's 35. If you remember yesterday bringing up the fact that the one guy was 35 years old going over to the, I don't even know the name of the league, but the Saudi Arabian soccer league, signed guy who was considered one of the best in the world, gave him a 3-year, $643 million deal. There's no way the MLS is paying him that. The entire MLS league's not worth $643 million. So that'll be interesting to see. And what we're looking at here is when Beckham moved to the LA Galaxy, he was given the option to purchase an MLS team for the discounted price of $25 million. Now, that was several years. Yeah, that's back in 2007. But I don't see any actual numbers. I don't see any actual numbers that show me exactly what he's getting paid. So we'll keep digging on that, and hopefully we'll come up with those numbers. But in the grand scheme of sports, that's a big deal. It still doesn't put Major League Soccer on the map in the United States compared to the Big Three and even hockey. To put them on the map, they're going to have to get several big-name free agents in their prime, and then I'm a believer. But right now, most soccer fans feel like they're watching minor league soccer when they watch the MLS. I don't think that's necessarily fair. I enjoy MLS when I get a chance. My biggest complaint has always been they play at the wrong time. It always seems like when I see MLS games on, they're competing against football in the fall. When they're playing their playoffs and their championships, I know that's in November. The playoffs leading up is in October. And unless you're going to get smart about it and put those on a Tuesday night, where am I going to squeeze that in and watch that? I've got baseball. I've got football. That's my fall ritual. I can't squeeze in another damn sport. And not to mention the fact, maybe it's just because I grew up as a kid playing soccer. Soccer feels like a spring and summer sport. What the hell are we doing crowning champions in November? Wiping the snow away. Come on. You could play an entire season, but they drag it out. They stop and they start with all their different FA Cups and whatnot. It's the reason why I tried like hell to become a fan of the EPL. I had the hardest time sticking with it. I still pull for the Tottenham Hotspur, but I don't watch them. I'll be honest with you. If I see them on, I go, oh, look what's on. Flip it on there, see what's going on with it. We had a contributor that's no longer with us that used to be on the show that basically painted me into a corner and asked me to pick a team. I picked that team about a decade ago. That's the only reason why I even have a little bit of knowledge of what the EPL is. But I even said it back then. I said, the sport sucks because they do it like old school NASCAR. They go by point standings. A lot of times your champion's crowned weeks before the season's over. We all want a Super Bowl, a World Series in this thing we call American sports. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, the Sarge is going to join us. He's got some gripes about a lot of things, including Boston baseball. We're going to talk about the PGA and the dirty deeds that they've been up to. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Armchair.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Jacob deGrom will have Tommy John surgery. Expected to miss at least 12 months, most likely all of 2023 and 2024. He could be back as early as August or September of next year. Here was deGrom on the disappointing news he received from the medical staff.
It's tough, so
but I went through this before, and know what it takes to get back. So that's the goal. Go out there, rehab as the best I can, and be around to help, any way I can. We got a special group here, and then I'll be able to be out there and help them win. It stinks. So this is what we love to do, but finding this out, coming here, wanting to be out there and helping the team, it's a disappointment. So
Texas Rangers are currently 4.5 games in front of the Houston Astros in the American League West, the second best record in all of the American League. Action on the diamond today in Major League Baseball. The NL East, it doesn't get any bigger than this. Mets-Braves game number 2. The Braves took last night's game 6-4 after the Mets blew a 4-1 lead in the 6th. Charlie Morton will go to the hill tonight for Atlanta. Max Scherzer for the New York Mets. In case you missed it, there was a lot of chirping going on by Pete Alonso that may have fired up the Atlanta Braves. For those who couldn't make that out, that was Pete Alonso after hitting a 2-run home run on starting pitcher Bryce Elder, yelling towards him on the mound, "Throw it again, please throw it again." The Braves did hear the chirping, and later on when the Braves took the lead, guys from the Atlanta dugout were saying the same thing to Pete Alonso, who was standing right there on first base. We'll have pitch-by-pitch, play-by-play, 7:20 Eastern. Braves-Mets, round 2. Atlanta comes into the game 6.5 in front of the Mets, 3 in front of the Miami Marlins. Other games on the docket today in Major League Baseball. Tigers at Phillies at 6:05, Zach Wheeler versus Olsen. Royals are at the Marlins. Marlins going for the 3-game sweep against Kansas City. Jordan Lyles 0-9 with a 6.89 versus Cabrera 4-4 with a 4.5. 7:05 Eastern, first pitch. Diamondbacks at the Nationals. Patrick Corbin and Zach Davies on the bump. Twins and Rays, 6:40. Pablo Lopez versus Armstrong. Tampa Bay minus 130 on the money line. White Sox and Yankees are back at it again. Lance Lynn versus Vasquez for the Yankees. Yankees are minus 115 on the money line, over under 8.5. White Sox won game 1 of the series. Lucas Giolito had a no-hitter through 6 innings, but was pulled for 99 pitches. Astros and Blue Jays 7:07. Blanco versus Bassett. Toronto minus 155. Over under is 9. And the Red Sox are at the Guardians. Bibby versus Crawford. Cleveland minus 135. Over under 7.5. Dodgers are at the Reds. Cincinnati, with a heck of a comeback on Tuesday, will send Williamson to the mound. Syndergaard on the bump for LA. Orioles and Brewers. Kramer versus Burns. Milwaukee minus 140. Over under is 8. Flaherty versus John Gray. Cardinals Rangers 8:05. That can be seen on the plus. Minus 155 on the money line is Texas. Over under 9. In the late night action, 8:40 Eastern, Giants at Rockies. Logan Webb versus Seabold. And the Cubs are at the Angels. Tyon versus Beria. LA is minus 140. Over under is 9. The NBA will get back to their finals, game number 3, a series that started last Thursday. Denver's minus 3.5 on the line, over under 214. NHL gets back to it tomorrow night, but you do have women's college softball championships. The Lady Seminoles of Florida State, number 3 in the country, will take on the Oklahoma Sooners, number 1 and 59-1 on the year. They've got a winning streak of over 50 games and are a decisive favorite to win their 3rd consecutive national championship. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com @Braves Country.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neal, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey, and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Let me see if I can cut to the chase by using myself as an example. 6 months ago, I was living in Boston. My wife had left me, which was very painful. Then she came back to me, which was excruciating.
Hour number 2 here on Braves Country. Getting ready for another big game against the Mets. And Wednesday, hump day, that must mean Sarge is with us. Sergeant T. McWooten. How are you, T?
Pissed.
Is it because you found out that the PGA was in bed all along with the Live Golf?
No, that's not why. But
what an absolute clown show that is.
Come on. I mean, who eventually didn't see this coming, you know?
But that quickly? And what was it? It was just 8 months ago he was pulling on the heartstrings, talking about the 9/11 victims and how anyone that could take that kind of money, it's blood money. And now he's going to turn around and do an about-face and call them a, what was the term he used? A class organization?
And the commissioner went on and said, as long as I'm commissioner, the PGA will not be a part of Live. So
well, that may be true because I think they're going to fire him. I think that they're going to have to put together a nice little package and say goodbye because
they said, I read today, I was reading up on it, and like I don't know where they got this number from, so don't quote me on this. 90% of the PGA players are asking for his resignation. That seems like a lot, so I don't know if that's accurate.
They probably went off of what they saw on Twitter yesterday. I mean, They was all over Twitter. That's all I saw were, think about it. Think if you're one of the guys who was told to stand firm and we're not going to put up with this and show your allegiance and blah, 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 blah. And you don't take the money. Rory McIlroy didn't take the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now he's got to sit there and watch them waltz right back through the damn door. And I'm not blaming the guys who took the money. I'm blaming the entire situation. But I will say this, and though I am a Koepka fan, he chirped out and was strutting his feathers yesterday, and it's basically a slap in the face to all the guys who stayed.
Well, here's my take on it. If, let's say, you're Rory McIlroy, you're well-known, you're a fan favorite, and you choose to go with the PGA, and you see all these guys from lefty on down just backing trucks of cash up to their doorstep and dumping it in their front yard, and you stay loyal to the PGA, and I tells you, stick with us, do the right thing. And then
they were guilted into doing it too, right?
You could have been making, 8-10 times the money, and you stick up for the PGA, and then they just backdoor you like this? I blame the PGA. I blame the people that run the PGA.
Absolutely.
I don't blame Liv. Liv, we knew what Liv was. They said, we are going to pay. We're going to make golf interesting to a younger group. So, yeah, it's Happy Gilmore. Great. Good. Grand. There's only 54 holes instead of 72. Great. I don't care. You still have to win the 54. I can't do it.
Yeah, they're not going to go to any of that nonsense. They're going to stick with the regular PGA.
Yeah, they are going to stick to the regular PGA part, and you will know what you're watching. Is this PGA, or you're not going to have to ask that question. But
sports fans from other sports better watch out because their favorite sport could be next.
Yep. This is a precedent that it's a slippery slope. I'm not saying it's not, but the PGA just pooped the bed with the way they handled this completely. This was
They showed to be what we all knew that they were to begin with, even though they claimed to be a non-profit organization. They proved that they were nothing but money-grabbing ladies of the night.
Money. Yeah, it rules the world, man. So it surprised me that it was this fast, but it didn't surprise me. I thought this was going to happen.
I mean, I thought this had something to do with Koepka going out and winning the major, but evidently they said that the talks have been going on for 5 or 6 weeks.
Right. Now, let's not put the cart in front of the horse either. There's in no way is this a done deal. They're just starting preliminary talks. And
no, but it's a done deal.
Is it going to be? Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, they are going to have a line of lawyers on both sides. And the Saudis don't care about that. They've got the money. They've shown that. Man, I spent a year in the Middle East. Those guys are like rich. Like they'd make pat Elvis on the head and call him adorable when it came to money. These people don't care about anything. If this is going to happen, it's not going to happen quickly, but it's going to happen quicker than we all thought.
Well, it starts next year. They've already said the whole thing starts next year. The current live golfers are going to be able to apply during the off season. It starts next year.
That's the goal, but who knows?
When you come out with a press release like this, it's all but a done deal.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's not. That I don't think anything's going to stand in its way, but they were. I mean,
it dang sure won't be morals. It won't be what's right.
Nope. No,
even though that is what they stood on and banged the table about. I mean, how much of that crap did we have to sit there and listen to last fall about how they were falling on the sword? They were doing what was right. And
read my lips, no new text, and then turn around and just.
And if you also look at the other big picture of this, it just tells you even more of how they prostituted themselves. I think if they would have waited this out in a few years, Liv would have given up because they weren't making any money. They were going to be hemorrhaging money, right? And you would have eventually had them kind of lose interest. Go, well, why are we flushing all this money down the toilet? Let's go win at soccer or something, right?
Maybe. I don't know. They print money over there, man. I don't know. But it didn't happen that way. And here we sit now with, I mean, the PGA just, I want to say egg on their face, but I would
rather.
It's
worse than egg.
Yeah, I would rather call it a horse apple on the face. This is atrocious. I mean.
They would kill for egg on their face.
Right. That would be about 4 steps up. Yeah. Yeah.
So anyways, this comes on the horizon of the U.S. Open. What a stupid time to do this, right?
And so, they'll probably not talk about it too much during the Open.
I did find it funny though that the broadcaster, what is his name? Oh shoot,
Nick Mayfield.
It's something like Champagne, but that's not his last name. It's man, whatever it was. Koepka, I guess has got beef with him because for the last year or so, he's been calling out all the guys on the tour that took the money and saying basically they're horrible people, and the term he used was, can somebody do, is it Cadbury? Something like, I can't remember his last name. We'll just call him Cadbury, but that's not it. But it's something like Champagne or Cadbury. Anyways, he says something to the effect of, somebody needs to do a welfare check on Cadbury. Basically saying, check in on him and, hide his shoelaces in his belt. I was like, man, I couldn't like Koepka more for that. It's funny.
Yeah, he's not afraid to throw out zingers, but
Well, and the difference is if you can back it up with championships.
Right, exactly.
If he was a bozo out there barely making the cut every time, people are like, why is this guy chirping? Well, because he came in second in the first major. He won the second major. He's probably a decided favorite to be in the top 5 in this major. Everyone's going to go, well, we got to listen to him.
And it's funny. Some things are just funny.
They are.
That's not my fault.
Wasn't me.
No.
Kudos to the guys that took the money and run, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because now they look like geniuses. Because, the whole thing's slimy, don't get me wrong. And I think they're going to lose some fans across the board. But I think most golf fans are... Most people that can afford to play golf are probably pretty in bed with other things as well, right? So, let's be honest.
Yeah, I never cared. I thought...
The guys that took the money and ran, they look like geniuses at this point. They're like, hey, you should have took the money. Even when we talked about it when it first came out, and I would say, I think it's a terrible thing, blah, blah, blah. I also said, honestly, if they were giving me $50 million and I had only made $200,000 in my entire career, I'm probably taking the money.
Probably? Dude.
Unless I got some kind of huge endorsement. The only thing that would change is if I had some huge endorsement deal that was paying me several $1 million a year, and that will just name whoever it is. We'll say McDonald's, right? And they say, if you take that deal, we're going to pull back. We don't want you as your sponsor. Then maybe I go, if it's going to even out, maybe I don't take the money. But if I'm just some schmo who is living paycheck to paycheck, essentially, yeah,
I would. Anybody would. And
the difference is I'm not going to stand up on national television and call everyone else.
No.
A piece of you know what for going over there. I mean, like, the situation is bad, but I understand why they're doing it.
Right. It's like when Chris Rock was talking about OJ. He's like, I ain't saying he should have killed her, but I understand. I think if you have a chance, if that's your job, that's your livelihood, and this corporation says, I will pay you 10 times a tournament, not a year, not over a span, a tournament, I will pay you 10 times what you're making a year over there. Who would say no? No one.
The only guy that's going to say no is like a dude so much better than us, he would never be our friend.
Yeah. He wouldn't hang out with guys like us. Tiger would say, oh, I'm not doing
In fact, if he was, I would even tell him, you shouldn't be hanging out with me. I'm just going to drag you down.
I think he would know, honestly.
You can do good things, great things with your life. Don't be seen with me.
Yeah, and if he didn't know off the bat, his wife would tell him at some point, I'm sure.
Right. Or, the authorities at some point.
Or, whatever.
We got to take a real quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about how irrelevant the NHL and NBA are right now, and let's get into some baseball talk as I give Brian a jab as we go on down the road. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country.
Are you okay, pal?
I had a rough day on the job.
Are you going home now?
I was about to.
Well then, you just fulfilled the first rule of law enforcement. Make sure when your shift is over, you go home alive.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neal, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey, and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Make contact. A collective psychosis is sweeping the nation. We're in the thick of the haze craze, and Elysian is introducing an altered state of IPA. Contact Haze is a tangled chemistry of mild haze, low bitterness, and an explosion of hop aroma. This hazy IPA bursts with notes of bright raspberry, currant, citrus, guava, and passion fruit. Available in 6-pack cans in stores. Make contact.
If we actually enjoyed our New Year's resolutions, we'd all have 6-packs, money in our saving accounts, and we'd know how to play the piano. I have to tell you about the one resolution I actually enjoy. It's Built Bar. It's delicious. Oh yeah, it's healthy too. They're low-cal, low-sugar, high-protein, high-fiber, great for the keto diet. Lose or maintain weight while indulging. Visit BuiltBar.com.
Braves Country, weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, 99.1 FM The Key, your first choice for Southern Sports Talk.
Hey folks, this is Mark White with The Mark White Show, and you can tune in to The Mark White Show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Rock 99, WQEE The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, home of Braves Country, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com @Braves Country.
Is this the suicide talk or the nickname talk?
The nickname. George, what is that? It's nothing. It's got no snap, no zip. I need a nickname that makes people light up.
You mean like Liza?
T-Bone.
But there's no T in your name. What about G-Bone?
There's no G-Bone.
There's a G-Spot.
That's a myth.
T-Bone, the ladies are gonna love you.
Welcome back, Braves Country. Atlanta Braves, Game 2 tonight. Right here on Braves Country HD, 7:20 first pitch. Atlanta Braves and the New York Mets. Braves took Game 1. Sarge, did you catch any of the action last night in the Braves Mets game?
No, a lot of MLB analysts and stuff on the radio were talking about it today, but to catch any now.
So, to catch up to speed on what went down, just want to get your take on this. Pete Alonso, who's already not a very big fan favorite in Braves Country, just because he's good and he plays for the opposing team. Score was 2-1. He had a 2-run shot to make it 4-1. Now, that was the second 2-run home run of the inning. But it was the third inning against a team who's kind of owned you over the last few years. And he got in the dugout and started yelling at the top of his lungs to the pitcher on the mound, Bryce Elder, who, as far as I know, has never done anything to anybody. He's like 23, 24 years old, fresh-faced kid, having a really good season. And he's just sitting there chirping and going, throw it again! Throw it again! Please throw it again! And all the Mets guys in the dugout are laughing at him and whatnot. Then, you fast forward, 6th inning, going into the 7th and 8th and whatnot. Braves start coming back. They put 4 runs on the board. They take the 1-run lead. They actually take a 2-run lead. And then the Braves, in the Braves dugout, which is right next to first base, which is where Alonso plays, they start chirping, throw it again! Throw it again! So it's getting a little chippy in Braves Country, and Game 2 is tonight. And I expect fireworks tonight because I expect Verlander's on the mound. I expect him to have some kind of a response. And we've got Charlie Morton on the mound, and Charlie Morton's not afraid of anything.
Somebody's ribs are getting cracked. They're going to catch about a 94.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. And to top it off, the Braves are now...
Yep, there we go.
What are we, 6.5 in front of the Mets now?
That's what I was thinking. Why would you, if you're that far behind of a team, and like you said, they've kind of owned you, why poke the dragon? I mean, so you got one good hit off them. What are we talking here? I mean, this isn't the playoffs or something. I don't understand.
I don't either. I mean, honestly, the whole thing is a little strange because it wasn't the final game of the season. You didn't get the last laugh, right?
No. And it's the third inning.
Yeah,
There's
and
so
it's
much-
only a 3-run lead. I think he thought that they were going to cruise.
Well,
but I'm doing the game last night, and I kept looking. I go, when it happens, you go down 4-1 in the third. As a fan, just that doomsday feel you get. You're like, oh my God, how are we going to get back in this game? But I had to keep reminding myself, man, it's 3 runs. A bloop and a blast, it's a 1-run game. And these are the Mets. They're going to Met.
Yeah.
And they started pouring it on. This is going to be a fun ending to this series because you got Verlander versus Morton tonight, and then tomorrow night's Spencer Strider versus... tonight it's Scherzer versus Morton. Tomorrow night it's Verlander versus Strider. There's a lot of strikeouts coming the next few nights.
Here's my question. You've got 2 veterans. Seasoned veterans. What would be their mindset going into tonight? Would they be, okay, should we just we chirped back, let's go out and play our game?
Well, I don't know if there's going to be throwing at players because they didn't really do anything.
No.
There's pitchers I can think of that would have thrown at players for such things.
Yeah.
But
Pedro
nowadays, I don't know if that's really. I just don't see it.
No, I mean, I don't either, really, now that I think about it. Because no player was hit last night. Nobody got their bell rung or anything. Just some idiot.
Now, if someone hit someone tonight, then it's go time.
Yeah, then it's probably benches clearing sort of scenario.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if this ever escalates into an actual brawl, I think it could be one of the uglier ones because this has been building for a few years now.
Yeah.
I don't think we're at that point yet, but I like our chances if it goes down. Mets have a couple of big guys. We got an offensive line or defensive line in that Braves dugout. I'm not worried about that. And there's a couple of guys I think could come up and take off a piece of your ear.
Well, this goes on in September, as we get closer to the playoffs. It'll probably brew over.
See, usually you get less of this in September because everyone's so worried about it. It's June, July. It's the dog days of summer where they're like, that's it. I've had enough.
It's hot. I haven't had Gatorade in 17 seconds. I'm hungry.
Let's go. There's a pretty good game on tonight. I'll get ejected. I'll go watch it in the dugout.
Yeah. Some idiot's up in the stand wearing a mask. It's pissing me off. Let's go!
All right, so let's get into your Red Sox.
Hold on. Okay, you asked for it because buddy. Dave, I need a minute to express myself. Here, I've got about a 65 to 80 seconds of things to say. And then I want your opinion on it. But
okay.
Turn me for a second. First and foremost, we've got to get rid of Chaim Bloom. We just got to. His way does not work in a big market. And it starts with ownership.
What year is this for? Is this for him?
This is 5.
Okay, I couldn't remember when he actually came in. Okay,
they're running this like a business, like they're running a hardware store, which is great if you want a hardware store. But baseball, you gotta. I mean, if you want to save money and you don't care about winning and you don't care about getting marquee players, go run the Marlins. Go get that Vegas team that's coming out. Who cares? No, I'm sure Billy Beane would love to have John Henry as a boss in Oakland. But this is the Red Sox, one of the most storied franchises in the history of baseball. And they're giving us nothing. And when John Henry first bought the Red Sox, they upgraded Fenway. They put the seats on the Monster. They went out. They got Manny, Poppy, Schilling, Folk, Damon. There is no star power on our team. The most popular person on the Red Sox lineup is our manager, Alex Cora. How you can't win game? He doesn't get to play. So what are we doing? And we're a AAA team at best with bottomless pockets of money and nobody spending it. I don't blame Cora. People were calling for his head, said fire him before the end of June. No. Cora may have hit 3 home runs in his entire career, but he played like 9 positions. He played 14 years in the majors as a contact hitter and defensively. Our defense, we're kicking the ball around. We're throwing it in the stands. I don't know what that kid, and he's got to be stoned or something out in center field. 2 times now, they've gotten an in-the-park home run because he just stood there. Last year was a grand slam inside the park. The other day, home run. The guy just kept running, and he's staring off. He's like the little kid in Little League that you're like, how many outs are there? Snow cone.
Who are you referring to?
Oh, I'm so pissed I can't think of his name. Duran.
Who?
Yeah. He doesn't.
What's his name?
Duran.
Oh, yeah. Duran. Okay.
And I think Cora is a B+, A- manager. Do I think he overplayed Sale too early? Yes. Do I think that led to his injury? Yes. Do I like it that Cora went out and let Sale talk him into it? And then he comes back to the dugout and is like, what am I doing? Turns around and goes right back out. Sale's out there throwing pitches. No, you were the manager. You've got to make that decision. You knew what the right decision was. Make it, get him off the field. And I'm going to tell you this right now. They are a bunch of fibbers. F-I-B-B-E-R. You know, the hospitals they have in Boston are world-renowned. They did MRI. You telling me those doctors can't read an MRI? They know exactly what's wrong with Sale. Exactly. And they're not telling us. And if it's a shoulder thing, and they're not telling us, he's done. He's done. We're only paying him $29 million a year, so we're fine there. And Nessen's pooped the bed on us now. Yesterday, Cora gets thrown out. Cora's nose to nose with an umpire trying to get thrown out. Nessen goes to commercials. We had to watch it on Twitter. What? I'm not making that up. In order to see Cora get thrown out of a game, we had to go to Twitter to see it happen.
Now, Nessen isn't one of the ones that was involved with Bally Sports, are they?
I could have bit nails into. I have no idea what commercial they went to, but I invented.
No, I'm talking about, is Nessen their own company?
Yes, okay. I believe it's New England Sports Network. So
there were like 19 teams that were affected by the collapse of Bally Sports. I didn't know if that had anything to do with.
I don't think so. No,
because I'm gonna tell you something right now. Bally Sports with the Atlanta Braves, it's not what it was before. And the reason why I say that is I'll be routinely doing a game, and now I just catch myself. I'll check the actual scorecard. They will have the wrong information on the screen, and it's sometimes it's not even in the neighborhood. Last night's home run by Ozzie Albies, his 12th of the year, actually I think that might have been his 13th. Regardless, you know what I said on the screen as he was rolling around, and they never fixed it. It said first home run of the season, Ozzie Albies. They didn't just call him up. This is Ozzie Albies.
They didn't go to commercial.
He just hit one a couple of days ago. This ain't his first game of the year. But so my point is, they routinely have some issues. I think that what they have is they have some folks working in these production booths. Now, I don't know about Nessa, but I'm talking about the ones that are being ran by Major League Baseball from all the Bally Sports that they took over. I think they just put interns or whatever in charge of this stuff. And you can tell that they're a little clueless on what's going on. They constantly have the wrong count up because they don't realize what these signs mean.
No, we're not having those issues. I mean, Nesson went to their biggest.
Thank the Lord on that one.
They went to their biggest endorsement to that commercial, and
that's probably why they follow the money, man.
Yeah, but
they just pulled a PGA, is what they did.
You're telling me 2018 that would have ever happened? You think that would have ever happened in 2018, or when any time we were a decent ball club? Absolutely. 2004, 2005. Freaking Tito comes running out. Somebody would have commercial. They would have burned Nesson to the ground. Nobody's in the stands. They're charging higher tickets at Fenway than they are at Yankee Stadium. And what product are they giving us? AAA team at best who do not care. If you're not backing people up, fundamentally, we're nothing. Cora is almost in tears every night trying to come up, and he's like, yeah, blame me. Blame me. I'm the manager.
For folks who are just tuning in, we're talking about the Boston Red Sox who are in the playoff hunt, one game under 500. We're not talking about, like, you'd think that, you think Sarge is over here talking about the Oakland A's or something.
We're in last place in our division. We're not.
That's a really good division.
So what? We knew that. We won it in 04.
No, I'm sorry. You're one game above 500. You're 31-30.
Beat Cleveland yesterday, so woohoo!
If you were in the NL East, you'd have a one-game lead. Oh, you'd be having a one-game lead on the Mets.
That does not hold water with me. We're not. We are in the AL East. Do you know how many teams we have to jump over?
You're not winning the division. Let's go ahead and put that out there.
No.
That's over. You can't keep getting swept by the Rays and think you're going to win the division.
No.
The Rays, what are they, 13? Yeah, they're 13 games in front of you right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the division's over. But the wild card is what I would focus on. Which is going to be tough.
2015. Yes, we were terrible. We were the last team in baseball. We're the worst team in baseball. Worst team record. But there was light at the end of the tunnel. All people could say was, you wait till Betts gets here. You wait till Bogarts gets here. This kid Devers is a beast. And JBJ is the bet. He's going to be the next this and next that. And then by 2018, we win 108 games. We have
so
one.
Is this the general manager or is it the ownership? Because it seems like they haven't. We talk about this during the offseason all the time. It doesn't seem like that they're willing to spend any money.
No, they're not. It's ownership and it's the GM. The GM cannot work. He's used to running Tampa, who has no money. So they bring people in that nobody's ever heard of, and the 16 people that show up at that crap freaking kitty litter box in Tampa don't care. This is Boston. This is the Red Sox. We care.
You're 13 and a half games behind that kitty litter box.
Right. And
you chose poorly. You used to live in Florida.
Yeah. I mean, and how long, if you're John Henry, do you go until you admit you made a mistake hiring Bloom?
Well, they're 5 years in. I mean, I don't think this is necessarily Bloom's fault. I think it's got to be ownership has got to take some kind of responsibility on this.
Dude, have you seen the trades this guy has made? He's put 1 year contracts. Instead of giving somebody a 2 to 3 year contract.
But why is that? Is that not because of the ownership? You don't think the ownership has anything to do with saying, well, we're not spending the money?
He would rather give.
You don't think that he would have signed, if he was allowed to spend the money, you don't think that he would have signed Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts to long-term deals? They finally, for whatever reason, opened up their pocketbook and locked up Devers long-term. I don't even know how the hell that happened.
I don't hold the Mookie thing against him. Mookie wasn't happy in Boston. He was going elsewhere. Okay. Xander Bogaerts.
I don't know if I necessarily hate not getting Xander Bogaerts back because
it wasn't
as good as he is. He's extremely overpaid in San Diego.
Right, but it didn't have to be that way. The year before Xander's contract was up, Bloom and Xander's people were in talks, and Xander was going to stay if they gave him 6 years, and not nearly what a year. It was millions of dollars less. And Bloom says, well, we've got this kid Myers coming up in 2 years. So he goes out and gets Story, who's played 7 games, pays him more than what Xander Bogaerts was asking for. All Xander said, pay me more than the Story contract. Bloom wouldn't do it. And now he's in freaking Padre land.
I mean, man, the Padres are spending money like drunken sailors.
Right. And God bless them.
Well,
you got to, in this day, especially when you have the resources of the Boston Red Sox.
San Diego Padres.
Do you see any glimmer of hope in the next
But the Red
years?
Sox are a game above 500. These San Diego Padres that we keep talking about, they're 5 games under 500.
No,
and they're not winning their division because they're in the division with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Going to the playoffs, man. We are in. Well, if you were in the AL Central, but we're not.
Well, then you shoot for the wild card. The wild card's gettable.
I'm telling you, watch any of the last, not counting yesterday, the 4 games before that. You watch that little league.
There are some teams that I think are going to come back to earth that Boston's going to have a chance to maybe finagle their way into that final wild card spot. First of all, I am not sold on the New York Yankees this year. I'm just not. They can't stay healthy. Their pitching staff has been just a disaster. Rodon has yet to freaking pitch. I mean, they showed a picture of Rodon in the dugout the other day, and he looks like Paul Blart Mall Cop. I mean, I don't even think he's working out. So I'm out on the Yankees this year. They can't stay healthy. I mean, heck, Judge just got hurt again when they finally got Giancarlo Stanton back. The other teams in front of you, Toronto has been so inconsistent. I'm not a believer of them. I will never be a believer of the Angels, not as they're currently constructed.
How about the Orioles?
The Orioles are going to be there. The Astros are going to be there, but there's 3 wild card slots, and I'm not convinced that at the end of the year Texas is going to be there, which means they could fall down into the wild card. Houston goes up and grabs them, which I think is very, very possible. The news that Texas got yesterday was a gut punch.
Yeah.
It was expected by most baseball fans, but it was a gut punch. I mean, DeGrom's out. They can say whatever they want. DeGrom's not pitching again until 2025.
No, he just announced today that he's getting Tommy John.
Right.
So
that news actually broke yesterday afternoon because we were here on the but the point is they're trying to say 12 months is what they kept saying this morning. Like, 12 months? The hell you get 12 months from? Tommy John is usually 18 months because you have to go through, that's 12 months of surgery rehab. Then you have to go to building yourself slowly up and ramping yourself up. What is the point of getting that guy to a point of maybe able to pitch 1 or 2 innings? They would have to be having a phenomenal year next year.
All right, answer me this. How many Red Sox games have you seen this season?
I mean, I've seen a few. I definitely saw the ones that I did. That's why when you said Duran, I knew exactly who you were doing because not many people caught the references, but I kept making Duran song references every time he came to the plate.
Okay, we are playing. I mean, we have no shortstop. I mean, Kike throwing the ball into the stands.
Well, okay, but
listen, you got to understand the product that's on the field right now would lose to most AAA teams. We have no pitcher. Sale's done.
But Duvall's coming back. I don't think you could have ever relied on Sale to begin with. Sale is Jacob DeGrom 2.0 is what he is.
Did we go out and get somebody we could rely on? No. What did freaking Chaim Bloom do? Let's pull, what's his name? Bill Bell? What's his name? Whatever. Let's pull this kid up. Let him get lit up for a while. They're pulling these people up way too early. Way too early.
Well, a lot of that has to do with nowadays you don't get the advantage if you hold guys for the Super 2s and whatnot because of the new collective bargaining agreement. So you're seeing a lot of young kids get pulled up early in the season. And
not if I don't see
if the guys on the farm if the guys in the show aren't producing, why not call up a kid from the farm?
Do you honestly see this team improving? Do you have any reason to believe
Will Duvall's coming back, right?
About the next 3 years to be a championship caliber team? And if you say
probably not, but that's a different argument as far as trying to make the playoffs.
Right. The playoffs aren't happening this year. I'm telling you.
Well, probably not, but I wouldn't pack up my tent and give up quite yet. I mean, when you look at their schedule and you look at the fact that, look, they're 8-10 against the East. That's not horrible. You like the fact that they're 500 on the road.
We're 1-9 against the Rays.
You need to find a way to get in the AL Central because you're 8-2 against them.
Yeah, but have you seen our record against the NL Central? We got swept at home by the Pirates.
Well, the Pirates are much better this year.
Oh, but
they are.
So what? You don't get swept at home, and you don't get swept at home by an up-and-coming team. Who else swept us? The Cardinals comes into Fenway, swept us. We get one game out of we did take the series against the Brewers. Now we got the Cubs coming. We are losing, and now we got to play the Yankees soon. And say what you want about the Yankees. No matter how bad they're playing, we're playing worse. I watch these games.
Yeah, that series is in New York, right?
Yep.
You better be a little more focused on the Guardians because you're playing them, tonight and tomorrow night?
Yeah, we played them yesterday. We're playing them tonight and tomorrow. And I didn't make it go to those games. And it's 2.5 hours from here. They let me sing the national anthem. God bless the Guardians. I appreciate what they did for me and my family, but I am not making the effort. There's no way I'm giving them my money this year. I'm just not. They're not worth it. They are giving us crap and putting lipstick on it. And all Chaim Bloom keeps saying, oh, it's coming. It's coming. Well, my grandfather said that about the rapture, but here we are still. When is it coming? In the next 3 years, there is nothing to say.
Okay, so let me ask you this. How far would you have to be out of the wild card picture as far as games back? How far would you have to be back to say, I give up, let's sell at the deadline?
For Chaim Bloom or me?
I'm just saying, as a Boston Red Sox fan, how far back do you have to be?
The trade deadline, if we're...
Trade deadline's end of July.
Right. If we're within striking distance...
So there'll be like close to 50 to 60 games left.
If we're more the way this team on the field right now, if we're more than 3 games out, no, we got to sell. Do whatever you want.
Oh, you're going 3? All right.
They're talking about trading now at the trade deadline.
Is Sale going to get back in time?
No.
To play this year to maybe trade him?
No. When? Doctors. I'm talking like elite, top of their field, super smart doctors. Look at an MRI, which is not a very difficult thing for elite doctors to, give a prognosis on. When they look at it and go, holy crap. What do you think? And then they're like, well, we don't know. We have to look at it again. We just don't know. And Sale is sitting there like, I can't believe this is happening again. And Cora is like, well, this isn't good. Come on, man. We're not stupid. We're not. He's done.
So what's the prognosis? I mean, is he done?
Yet. They're like, we have to go back and review the MRI. These are doctors at Beth Israel and all these other world-renowned. Nobody in Boston. You should hear the analyst and the fans of Boston calling it. Nobody's buying it. Nobody.
Well, it says here on Yahoo Sports they don't think that he's going to require surgery, shoulder inflammation. But, man, I'll tell you what, that sounds like 60-day DL territory to me.
Yeah.
Because that's the same junk that Kyle Wright's going through. When was the last time he pitched?
Who?
June 1st. Oh, okay, so he just pitched.
Yeah, he
last
pitched.
week.
That's when he got hurt. And Cora went out because his velocity dropped from 95 to 90 in one inning. And so he was kind of doing this, and so Cora goes out there and Sale's like, no, I'm good. Cora knew he was hurt. He said he was watching his velocity drop. You don't drop 5 miles an hour in an inning if you're Chris Sale. So he walks back to the dugout. Chris Sale throws 2 more warm-up pitches. Cora comes right back out and says, you're done. He grabbed the trainer and says, look, if we have to drag him off, let's go. And then Cora's like, I'm the manager. I had to make that call. You knew that call the first time you came out. He can't stay healthy. And if Chris Sale is doing this, it's a problem, man. I mean, nobody's buying that they don't know yet.
By the way, White Sox Yankees have been postponed already tonight. I don't see a makeup date. They play again tomorrow. You think you just play a doubleheader, but I don't see that being listed.
Are they playing in New York?
They are, yes.
That's, why. The Canadian Fire, have you seen what it did to Yankee Stadium?
Well, I just saw that it was the entire Northeast.
There's parts of Ohio that is under a warning now. It's over in the Cincinnati area, so it's not. I don't think it's going to affect us until a couple of days later. But it's hazy here. And
I saw the. I was watching the show from New York City this morning, and they had the live video, and the host was like, when was this taken? They said it's right now. So it was like 9:00 in the morning at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like a dense fog.
Yeah, you couldn't see the Statue of Liberty, and like the clouds. I mean, the smoke and the clouds.
It's rolling down from Canada, right?
Canada, yeah. And the clouds came over Yankee Stadium, and then you could watch. It was on fast forward, video, and you could see the clouds start to go inside Yankee Stadium. There's no way they can play a baseball game. They can't have people out there, first and foremost, breathing that crap, and it's unsafe for the players.
Have they given an indication how long this is going to last?
Probably a week, I think is what they said.
Well, the reason why I'm asking that is because if you look at, for instance, I think the Mets are on the road, but they're heading to Pittsburgh, and that's right in the mess of it.
That's why Pittsburgh and Cincinnati and all that, and the
Boston series is in New York.
Yeah.
So are they even going to be able to play, or is that
I don't know. I don't know, man. It doesn't look promising.
That's a mess.
And, they're dropping the sales of Yankee Stadium for the Red Sox game. When is the last time that's happened? They're begging people to show up to watch this crappy team.
Get a cheap ticket, a hot dog, and possibly lung cancer tonight at Yankee Stadium.
It's worth the price of admission.
It's Thurman Munson bobblehead night. You can also get lung cancer.
Yeah. But I mean, if they're lowering the price of Red Sox Yankees, need I say more? I'm not wrong about this, Dave. We are the bad news bears.
You're always gloom and doom, though, and then they'll go on a 4-game winning streak, and you'll be excited again.
You're right about that, but this is different. I'm telling you.
How is it different? It's the same.
This is a different product they've put on the field.
That's what you said last year and the year before. This is Boston Red Sox baseball now.
Oh, see, that just hurts me. That just angers me. I'm gonna burn this place.
Now you know what the rest of us went through for years. Have to watch rebuilds, and it's the toughest thing to do. It really is.
This isn't a rebuild.
Well, it has to be because
no, you don't understand. They seem to be happy with.
It's not a reload.
They seem like, okay, this is who we are now. We're mediocre at best. We're saving money. We're cool, and that's it. You can't be that way in Boston. Yankee fans wouldn't put up with it. Boston
Just
fans
come over to the dark side, put your Braves hat on, and shut up about the Red Sox, and let's go.
I will never shut up about the Red Sox. You can't stop me. No, you can't.
Life is so much more fun here in Braves country, man. we're
yeah, you guys are looking pretty good.
6.5 up on the Mets.
Yep.
It's not smoky down here.
Enjoy it. Go Bravos, but that's my National League team, but I just don't like the National League. But go Braves. I'm glad it's working out for you guys. I don't wish them ill. I just want something to cheer about in Boston, something to look forward to. Okay, this season might be over.
Well, the Braves will be in Boston in late July. There's something right there.
Yeah, we're gonna. If we don't make, I don't know, man. It's hard to $25 a month to watch these guys. Doesn't seem worth it anymore. I'm still gonna do it. I'm still gonna watch every game. I always do. Even if we're
$25 a month. I mean, that's the price of a loaf of bread nowadays, man. It's actually a pretty good deal.
Not with this team, but I'm still going to watch. I'm still going to pay it. I'm not going to the games or anything.
Let me hit my lock real quick before we get too far past this. Lock of the day. I'm going to go with the – where is it at? Where's the line at right now? All right. Give me the Orioles – plus 1.5 tonight in Milwaukee. Kramer versus the Brewers. Corbin Burns has gotten lit up a couple of times here recently, and I think Baltimore can keep it close. Plus, Milwaukee poured out their bullpen last night to get the W last night, and that always affects them. What is your walk-off, sir?
My walk-off is this. I hope and pray that Chaim Bloom steps on a Lego and gets diarrhea in traffic.
Well, my walk-off for today, Braves, Mets, 7:20 Eastern, first pitch. We got Verlander versus Morton. We're probably going to have some fireworks. There might be some smoke in that stadium, but hopefully it's not coming from Canada. Hopefully everyone up in that area is okay. I don't know what I don't know what to say about that, but other than the fact you just got to stay inside and try not to breathe in all that terribleness. I heard that a lot of companies were actually turning off their air units to keep the smoke from coming inside.
True story. Yeah, I've heard that too.
I say they're being cheap. They don't want to pay the air conditioning bill because it's June. But that's let's just lay it out there on the line. All right, keep it locked in here on the Key. The Brian Snow Show is next. And then you've got the Chattahoochee baseball tonight at 7:05. Braves Country HD. We got Braves Mets at 7:20. Have a great day, y'all. We'll see you next Wednesday, T. The Red Sox will be on a 4-game winning streak, and you'll be doing backflips.
God bless you for thinking that.
Goodbye, sweetheart, well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart, goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks on 99.1 FM WQEE The Key in Noonan, Georgia, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@BravesCountry. Braves Country comes your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Please follow, like, and subscribe today. Armchair Quarterback Radio, your first choice for Southern sports.
Something of the 5th of September. Something of the 5th of September. She said a lot that I can't remember. Something of the 5th. Gonna get